What's going on out there, guys? Welcome back to another Soul Days. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. We had a really nice strong close yesterday, above 22. Here we are. We wanted to break that 21.6, 21.8 channel, and we did it, and we closed way above the mark, plus 22,000, looking great. Here we go. We built our trends off of our thirds. We hit a 20-point schedule right down here at the bottom. Ricocheted right off of that, right up into our second middle third candle, channeling really nicely up in here. Even though we got trading flats expanding, overall we're hitting 3-point schedules. We got double threes and triple threes all along here, forming nice squeezing diagonals. Looks really good on the Elliot side. On a longer term schedule here, I'm gonna stretch it out on the hash so we get a little bit more of a speed. We hit the top of the top third. And yeah, some very, very bullish moves here. We got expanding flats. Top is rising. I mean, top's falling, bottom rising. So we're starting to squeeze here. No exhaustion, not too much exhaustion of bullishness. Could we have closed out on C on the longer term corrective side? And are we starting to look for another 3 to start off a new trend on a new reversal here? Elliot Wave side, we were kind of looking for 5 to confirm, but moving on from that, well, we'll stick to it. We'll keep talking about it. But if we're looking for new confirmation, first downtrend finished off higher than our lower point, which means that we started A here. This could be B, and could this be C? We're rising on the Elliot side, on the other side of the corrective. We broke our larger trend here on this perforated line. Broke straight out of that. Look at that. Boom. And right along our speed resistances here that we formed out several shows ago, more than a week ago, we drew this out. We were probably right over here, and we popped right onto that candle. 46 was giving us a flat freed out based on the speed resistances and a fan, which was letting us know that this could be a downward trend here on the bottom. If the bottom was continued to rise rather than fall, you know that we were heading on to a new trend here. We wanted to mark where this trend could take us from here. A couple of days ago, it hit that roof, and we're starting to candlestick along this. We can use this as our guide, but we squeeze right into the middle channel here on our hash mark. And is it looking like we're going to bounce out? If we're going to continue to move up, you could be looking at getting closer to 25K, which would put us at our longer term top of the channel, which is about 25,000. We said 17.5 to about just under 25. So if we hit 25 and we close out somewhere around 25, we're looking to start, and we hit another low, a higher low here outside of our longer term hash mark. It's quite possible we're bottom rising, top dropping, fingers popping, wallets fattening. Midterm schedule. If this was a C, could this be our A now? We hit a B and a C. Are we gonna? It looks like we had some zigzag, right? But is this gonna be a double 3 or triple 3? If it's a double, we could possibly break above this, right? Because our bottoms are gonna continue to rise. Based on behavior, our bottoms will begin to rise. For the next 2 weeks or so, next week at least, we zigzag up here. If we hit a double 3, maybe we drop here, come back up, and again, looking for 3s all the way along, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Triple 3, we're gonna get a double or a triple. If this is a flat in a channeling zone, it's showing plenty of strength right over here. We have a flap here and a flap here. Doesn't matter in the bottom part. We're moving on to bigger and better things. Really looks like that's the case. Then the classic, yeah, madness on this chart, but I haven't removed any of the lines for more than 3 weeks now. So I did a a bit of an explanation as to what the heck's going on here. But these are all triplets, right, on thirds, and fanning it out on the speed resistance. Broke right out into this, trying to get a good forecast on something that's really charting new territory. The classic is very much so. So we popped out, got a good readout on this, on our diagonal, came out of it on the lower third, came back down, and now we're hitting on the midterm into our lower third here on the threes, right down in here, trying to touch this. What was really solid resistance had turned into really solid support. Is it going to stay strong? You know, it looks like we have a green candle right now. We wick down a little bit. We might not even need to test it. But as of now, we're in the lower third, which is actually good because, as we mentioned just in the other show the other day, about 2 shows ago, I'm looking for this massive move here. And if you see here, circle this off here. And we'll circle this off here. That is arguably what just happened here. So now it's looking more like we're looking for this big move again to happen. So we're on the corrective side for Luna Classic on the short term. Are we finishing out this third move here? 1, 2, 3 on the longer term. Looks like 27 wants to say hello. Or did we already say goodbye to it? We're likely going to bounce off of that here. And then we'll look like we want to trade again, go sideways a little bit, channeling. I mentioned the other show, that if we find another channel on the lower third, every time we bounce out of it extremely strong. Right? I'm not going to call it a contracting flat or anything like that. Not necessary. But when we bounce out of these, it usually takes us up to the top third again. So it looks like, we're shooting Spitfire, and on this track we could be taking away a 0 off of the Classic. But again, with some confluence, we want to look at news, we want to look at market, we want to incorporate that. And as we do here, we're not just looking at charts, right? So on the shorter term here, if we're going off of a major trend, we can see that our flats are not that flat. Very bullish. Very bullish. Not exhausting any bulls right now. We got pumps and some short sides, right? But we're staying on a 3-point schedule, 3-point plan. Diet gets you there. Elliot Wave, usually mapping out the psychology of the market. Looks like we're on the corrective side for sure still, but there's beginning to be some very good indication that we're popping out of that. And Solana here. So Solana we had a really good read here on where our next move should happen based on the thirds, and based on the retreat of these Elliott levels and what these triangles were giving us here on the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 side. Triple threes would lead us into what was begging for a new move. We didn't even have to touch this bottom resistance here. We popped right back over our middle third. If we have a stronger downside, that's fine. If our bottom continues to rise as it is here, say straight line here, on our time point schedule, we hit right on that ramp, 62 degree based on our trends from the previous times. Called it really nicely here. We mapped this, we put the 62 degree angle here way back when Sol was still over here about several days ago or more. And again, that was based on the time point schedule. And here, if we're finishing off right here, this is extremely bullish. if this is an A point here, and we finished off our corrective wave on the Elliot side, behavior, adopting a new market psychology, we have a rising bottom here. Even though we're rising top, we're squeezing overall from the mark of the top of the trend, which I'd suggest begun here, even though this would be an A. A lot of the times you don't get a perfect market squeeze, so you have to look at where trends are really beginning, and if this is a decipherable trend here on a really strong downward move, we have triplets, 1 2 3 1 2 3, triple threes that could be marked and followed by double threes or triple threes. So if this is a triple three move, this is a triple three move. Are we gonna have a double three or a triple three here again? If we're closing out threes and threes, looks good. Looks really good for Sol. Put this new line resistance here. Strong market psychology telling us we want to see 49. Let's break that 49. We want to see 50 here on this show. Can we do it? If we top off 43 somewhere between a day and a half from now, it's very, very likely taking us up in our degree on a diagonal. Even though this might be bearish, this is a bull. This looks like a bull market right now. If it takes us up here or a little higher, we close out a little bit lower, we have a rising floor, really, really confirming a new move overall in the market. On Shib, a little bit clearer on the short term that we're on a corrective side of a short-term move here. If I'm following out on this 3-point schedule here, just over a few weeks ago, we had a nice 3-point move here, taking us out of a triple three right into a nice, really lead up trading angle on a zigzag preference here. Really impactful market. Broke out of our bull here, and we broke down out of it, but down into a lower thirds in a really strong market. You see here we have a rising floor here. Not much on the price side, but we're looking at market cap here for Shib. That's a lot of market cap move right on this difference here. So if we can have this kind of bullishness, we had these sort of trading flats where they expanded out but didn't really exhaust. We had this pump right after this expanding flat here. Pump, expanding. Are we looking for another pump? We broke into that lower third triangle. This bowl is still in play. So we have a new diagonal here, which looks a lot like what's been leading us out of lower channels, like we saw with Bitcoin. See, you have a speed resistance fan, broke out of this bowl, popped back out of it. Same with Solana. Speed resistance bull, broke out of it, riding this bull really nicely now. Shib having a lot of market cap moving around right here. So is it in the cards? So our lower bowl here is still in play because we're breaking right into that diagonal really nicely. Again, same drawouts from several days ago now. Nothing new. We drew this. We started mapping Shib on this show about 3 shows ago. So I haven't changed anything. This is a new readout. But overall, same lines we've been working on. New readout as in getting a new candlestick formations added to this chart, but no new lines. We don't do no lines here. And all right, so we've been adding a couple of new coins to the show. We looked at Akash. Today, I want to focus in on layer ones. Right now, it seems like layer ones are pumping. Is this a mini pump? Are we seeing a bit of a market turn? You know what's going on. We have Terra Classic up here. We just talked about the charts. Phantom, we've been talking about on the show. Terra Classic, we got to get into that lower fan possibly. Have some really nice moves up. Phantom, still growing, still building. But with this mini pump going on, or major pump, we don't know, I want to highlight a couple of undervalued and underlooked layer ones. And that would be both that I really like, Kadena and Proton, XPR. jump right into Proton. Proton 13 billion, just about under 14 billion. Total supply, market cap 43 million, fully diluted 43 million, right on top of each other. That's excellent. Fully diluted being all the options, all the derivatives that are available to create value on the market cap. Market cap being everything that's being held. Kadena 1 billion total supply, just 200 million under circulating supply, 300 million market cap, and 1.7 billion fully diluted. So something really interesting going on with Kadena. Proton, fully well-built ecosystem, strong DeFi. You have StoreX on it, Proton Swap ready to go. Several major currencies can be exchanged on Proton Swap. It wraps almost all tokens across multiple chains, so really easy to exchange with Proton coins on Proton chain. StoreX, really interesting play on Proton. Trying to take Web3 into the Web2 space and compete with Amazon and eBay by building a marketplace that you can buy and sell goods, products, and even open source software possibly with crypto, but on Web3. You got Metallicus, so Proton ecosystem really being fully well built. Metallicus just featured on September 7th, about a week ago. Let's take a look.
Working on over the past year building the Metal platform. That includes Metal API, the WebAuth wallet and authenticator, Proton blockchain, and the new Proton Dex, and of course, Metal blockchain. I've thought about different ways that we could do this presentation, and I think that presenting in the metaverse is probably the most crypto thing that we can do. So we wanted to do this keynote in the metaverse, offer it to you, and have you come out and virtually visit us versus going into some stuffy room and sitting in a chair. Let's enjoy the metaverse. So I'm going to start to walk around here and explore the metaverse. This is a really cool park called Proton National Park in the Metallicus metaverse. It was designed by Paul Gray from the Proton New Zealand block producer on Proton. And we think this is really cool. As we start to build out our crypto products for the Metal platform, you can expect many more metaverse lands and metaverse integrations into Proton blockchain and Metal blockchain and our WebAuth wallet. And we're really excited to offer that product. So let's walk around and see what we have here. I'm going to head over here to the MetalPay section, and let's talk about MetalPay and what we're building with the MetalPay platform.
So just a quick clip from Metallicus presentation, but you have MetalPay built into this metaverse. You have Proton Swap and other DeFi built into Metallicus metaverse. You can interact with the ecosystem there. Much of what's being built on Proton chain will be possibly put into Metallicus. We saw Proton NFTs do really well at the end of the peak last year in October before the downturn. A few things about Proton to know though is that it has a multi-layer already built on top of it, similar to what Ethereum has with Arbitrum, Optimism, Immutable, and Polygon. However, some of the centralized criticisms that are directed towards Proton have to do with a lot of these layers built and within this same network of teams. So you also, on one hand, you don't have the potential that marketing feasibility has with allowing other layers to build their own teams. You lose those communities. You lose that possibility of expanding your network. And the centralization criticism is understandable. However, with on the pro side, with all those layers built in under one network, one ecosystem, you have massive scalability, and a lot of those problems can be solved much more efficiently. Another couple of keynotes with Proton is that the team has spent a lot more funds on building versus marketing. So when marketing does come, Proton could see some massive moves, in my opinion. And we saw a nice move up recently after the Metallicus and some other launches were announced. Kadena Kadena, really interesting. Aside from all the conspiracy about JP Morgan being involved, not as well of a built-out ecosystem in my point of view, with as with Proton. However, Kadena has the marketing strength, has the team strength, and has a lot of history behind it as far as where the team is coming from into crypto. Not to say that Proton doesn't. However, on the marketing side and the quality of dev side, Kadena has a little bit more of leverage on that side. And we saw what Kadena was doing with diluted market cap. So all the options and value that was being derived on top of the existing current value market cap is really impressive, considering Kadena doesn't have a lot of DeFi platforms built out. Recently saw a Lago launch. A lot was made of this on Twitter. However, this is a recent launch, and there's not a lot of DeFi platforms, so you would have to really ask what's going on with Kadena. I like how they gamified their recent KDEX swap. KDEX swap is available right off of Kadena.io. Kadena's arcade, also really well built, but they have a gaming platform built into it on top of the NFTs. NFTs, as we talked about here, are extremely important, in my opinion, to layers, especially main protocol layers, main blockchains. It adds that profitability on product and service. It improves the serviceability and feasibility of the protocol of the chain. And so really important to have a good NFT ecosystem and a strong NFT community backing strong blockchains, or what would be strong blockchains. So you see Kadena really, really growing though on the development side. It has a more traditional approach to the development, as where Proton is really well built in, and that's where the centralization criticism comes from. And another thing about Proton, in contrast to Kadena, Proton does not have, that I can find, a launch pad, as where Kadena has KD launch and a couple of others. You can find a lot of the high profile projects that are launching on Kadena, which adds to the decentralization factor. Proton, I couldn't find a single launch pad. Maybe taking a look at CoinGecko here, maybe some of that development activity is noticeable here. It could be that the contribution isn't marked. However, Kadena's is on CoinGecko, and a lot of it is traditionally accessible for developers through registries like GitHub. So you can track activity on development on Kadena just fine. As with Proton, it might not be available yet. So some major contrasts between the two, but I like both. We'll see what comes out of this new look at layer ones from this current, possibly new trend in the market. And if confidence is re-entering, I think a lot of it is going to be leaning on the back of the Ethereum merge and its success. I know that the Ethereum merge will be successful, but it could open some eyes as far as the functionality and operations, and how the 2.0 will actually change the operation on Ethereum. And a lot of people are speculating on how it's going to fix gas, if gas even needs to be fixed, and so on. All right, that's it. Thank you. Bye.